But one thing I have to say here, speaking of changes over the course of the season, you have roster changes, but you also have meta changes. We were memeing it a little bit last week when we saw Reaper, but guess what? You watched any Overwatch League over the past week, where granted it was 2-2-2, Reaper is back in fashion.
And it's something that you can look forward to for Contenders in the playoffs after this week, because that role lock is going to go into effect. Revival now, you see they're going to be playing this Winston Orisa composition with a Torb, so playing very slow, sitting on the point, trying to deny the dive for Wave Check, because Wave Check, if you look at their comp, they're looking to engage, they're looking to get on top of Revival, maybe even pick that back line.
Burger immediately going to get the first pick off here. Wave Check down one. Iced on the outskirts, looking to just get progress to EMP as Revival takes full control of the point and apply. Just easy follow through right now.
Revival are making sure to, well, especially while they're having Paintbrush on the Lucio, because often against when you're running these bunker compositions, you're running like a Mercy or even a Batiste. But Revival with Paintbrush on the Lucio means they can rotate. It means they can run away from those rotations for Wave Check as they get into position to dive. As now Wave Check, they're going to remove Ice. They're not even going to bother with the Sombra. They're just going to go full 3-3. They're going to get Ice onto the Zarya, allow those bubbles to come out, get that high energy. And I think it's not a bad play at all.
Revival, meanwhile, still on the point. Dealing with Divers comes in. Tvik on the Torb, unfazed, and Maniton just dealing with the front left Boker, and it was a quick dive from Wave Check and just 2 immediate pickoffs, ending it as quick as it started.
And Wave Check, they do need to be diving quickly when they're running the Moira versus the Xin, and also that long-range damage for Revival, but also they need to have some setup. They need to be getting those cooldowns out. They need to be looking to maybe, if they can get Paintbrush and Amp out, make sure that the Matrix has been used, anything for Revival, because if they're just diving in dry when they don't have high energy and they don't have any of those ults yet, they don't even have Coalescence. Panic still yet to get that Coalescence up.
Nope, Wave Check coming down to one of their final 2 fights to retake the point here. Fly holding back. Dragon Strike ready and just sending it through. We'll see what's going to get. Already though, 1 down for Revival. Coalescence engage, apply. Dragon Strike takes down the Moira, and Revival, they just back out. Use the shield to turn to their advantage, and Wave Check falls again.
Revival's wanting Wave Check to dive them here, especially when they had Transcendence on the field and they have that Dragon. They're looking to use those ults to peel. You see when that engage came out and the Coalescence, it means that Panic could not shift. He couldn't shift out of Dragon anymore. So he was hoping to maybe catch that backline, catch anyone there with the dive. With the Dragon being out, this is last fight for Wave Check. They're in the point. They swap Panic onto the Xin. They will have some ults, so they'll have the rally. They're going to have the beat, so they definitely have the sustain they need to get through this.
Revival, meanwhile, in a good spot of their own. They drop the Supercharger early. Wave Check going to have to move into it. Multi-core out and on the way. Wave Check's going to beat. Move in over to the point. Transcendence forced out by Revival. Dragon Strike right down the middle. Takes down 1 already. Wave Check just way too weak and unable to get anything going. Again, Revival just backing up again, using ult combi to their advantage as Tvik picks up 2 more.
Ice is going to go down before that grab is able to come out. It's just again, he's slowly but surely going to get cleaned up. And that's first round going the way of Revival. Revival playing that comp expertly, but also just denying all of the value, denying all of it from Wave Check. They could not find a solid engage. They weren't able to really make any comp switches that heavily favored them. Realistically, if you see that composition as well, and Revival's not even playing a Brigitte, Wave Check could have just played standard dive with the Genji, with the Tracer. It was within their goal there, because remember, the role lock is not implemented, so they definitely could have played that 2-2-2 if they wanted rather than 3-3. But they decided it was the best route for them. They just didn't get a lot of value. They just weren't able to get the ults they needed.
And also, just in the neutral, they just kind of got outplayed by Revival. As simple as that sounds, it's the truth.
It is.
That was just a raw outplaying where Revival landed more shots, wasn't really in danger at any given point, and it wasn't a particularly close round.
Now Wave Check Revival rolling out here. Once again, Revival on the triple DPS with Boger on that Hammond, so very mobile, a lot of poke presence. And Wave Check, they're playing a more standard 3 Sombra Goat style with Ice and that Sombra. They do have Helv on the Reinhardt, which means with Helv on the Reinhardt, they can control this point very aggressively. They can look to own the damage on the point, but they can't really contest the space nearly as well.
Well, first part of that is that they have to get to the point. It can be easier said than done. On the Reinhardt setup, a lot of rockets coming in. Helv already low, Bionade in. This is a perfect time for Revival to dive and finish off the Rein. Helv still low, gonna be taken down. Maniton, able to find him. 6 on 5 for Revival. Now, Wave Check did get first control of the point. So that's something to hang their hat on here. It's not always easy for a more DPS-heavy composition to get control, but Maniton and Tvik doing a lot of work right now.
And really, Wave Check, they just sort of completed their, what I would say is their comp's evolutionary purpose, in that they spawned, they went to point, and they died. because that's realistically, unless you have a very, very good fight, if that main tank goes down early, and even if the main tank doesn't, that's sort of what happens against these triple DPS setups a lot of these times if you're just able not to deny those picks. The wave check, having to re-enter, they will swap to a Winston Diva here. They do have the Nano, but already Revival with the bot, with all 3 DPS ults.
Barrage in over the top for Tvik, gonna get slept in return, but still gets the D-Mac. Meanwhile, Ice, then freelancing on the Sombra, ends up with 2. Wavecheck not doing a bad job of poking down Revival as they move back towards that point. Numerical advantage coming up here, and alright, Revival gonna commit the EMP, apply dies immediately. That didn't seem very worth.
No, it didn't seem worth it all. Revival should probably swap. If they committed the EMP, I don't think it's worth it to stay on their comp. Looks like they're going to stay because they're close to ults, but that was 100% not an EMP, I think, that had any value. His team was mostly dead. Wavecheck was surrounding the point already, and now they have no EMP, and they are going to be swapping. Okay, so they're not going to be keeping their comp. So at least that's coming into play, but they're still keeping these. They're still keeping the Sombra into this. So
and even
sort
if
of a waste of an EMP.
Yeah, and even if you were going to swap, EMP is just not an ultimate you throw away because you're swapping right after. You still stand the Sombra and get a good EMP. The ultimate is just way too powerful otherwise. Wavecheck, opening up an EMP of their own, striking 5, Eps down immediately. And it's good fall through from Wavecheck. Bit of a reversal from what we saw in the first round, and Wavecheck now about 2 fights away from evening things up.
And this is good for Help. I like that they committed the Primal for that EMP as well. Just going to go and swap the Reinhardt immediately. When they see Revival's comp, since they have Boger on that Rein, it's just a lot stronger for you in the neutral game to have the Reinhardt available. And next fight, Revival, they still don't have a lot of ults in their bank. They're going to have Nano, but Wavecheck has double support ult, including that rally. There's really no sustain capable at all for Revival. They'll get the point flip while Wavecheck was spawning, or rather was swapping heroes, but they can come back in.
Wavecheck, they have to not lose Jade early. Jade under fire, uses the rally, gets away from it. Iced, picked off while poking to the outskirts. Maniton nanoed as Zarya. They'll do plenty of damage there, 6 on 5 now for Revival. Wavecheck still pressuring, but there's a limit to what they can do down 1 here already, and Revival, they know it, they're going to start stepping out a bit.
But the double anti-nade, and Panic has the Nano, and Hell gets 2! And there's the Shatter as well. The fight's already done anyways. Hell with 3, with 4 off the Shatter. Will he get 5?
That was one of the most ridiculous Fire Strike follow-throughs I have ever seen. Nano Fire Strike just setting Revival to pure decimation.
That was a great outplay by Wavecheck. Panic, he had the nade for the aggression for Revival. I actually didn't agree with Revival trying to be aggressive there, where I don't think they were keeping track of the ults. They weren't watching this ults there at all. They were hoping to get an isolation. Couldn't. Now they have to come back in. Final fight territory here. If they do not stop it now, Wavecheck will get this round. They do have Shatter. They do have Rally. Close to the EMP.
All going to be used here early by Tvik. Revival looks to retake. Wavecheck, not a ton in reserve right now. Revival moving forward. Boger with Shatter ready. Trying to pull his way in, but ends up falling a little bit too aggressive. Hegan, there at the punish. Baron now out from Wavecheck. Lose Zarya, Revival, grab it on their own. Manson, 0.3 in. Wavecheck still in a decent spot. Rally coming out towards the end of the fight. The EMP strikes, and Wavecheck coming on back. This is going to be a round 3.
This needed Wavecheck. Their play around the Sombra was a lot better than Revival's. When I really look at it, they just played that Sombra a lot better. They got consistent value EMPs. They didn't really waste any EMPs. It was very high value. And once again, and Panic also continuing to shine within that backline. So Wavecheck, they have some bright spots within this season, even if they haven't necessarily plateaued to the point where they want. So we are on that 3rd round now. Going on to Ruins here for Ilios.
You take a look at both teams. Still a disparity between what's being run. Revival going to be running with Pharah Widow. Wavecheck on the other side, deciding to run a little bit more towards the ground with the Regina.
So for Wavecheck, against a triple DPS setup, it's all about, can they get an initial setup? Can they get an initial fight, get the hack on a Boger, or find that backline early? That would be ideal for Wavecheck here. They also have the better point presence with the more health that they have. But when they're running Moira, it's all about, let's try to find that backline. Let's try to find Eps, maybe get a hack on a Boger. We'll just have to see and look for the engage.
Tvik in the air once more. Revival looking for any good opening here. And of course the goal here is if you're looking at Tvik, you're not looking at apply. And vice versa for Revival. Meanwhile, Wavecheck, they would like to bring the point or the fight directly over to point. But more difficult to do at times on this map. And Hegan immediately bursted down as apply, striking from the back.
Apply's in a very good position. There's no Diva either to contest him right now. So slowly but surely, Revival are definitely going to be winning this fight on point as Apply continues to find these frags.
Really, really good pressure in from Apply in the back. Starts out the headshot on the Diva and follows through from there. He's going to get first control over the Revival. Wave check, though. Opportunities coming up here. Both teams going to have EMP soon.
And now it gets a little bit harder for Wave check, because they have to walk into the poke from Revival, they have to walk into the setup Widow, and for Ice, even if he's looking to set up this EMP, Apply has walls, and the walls are going to make sure that Ice can't really get set up in a great position. They can also make sure to counter pressure. They have to wait this out. They have to wait for these walls to come down so Ice can actually get in position.
Wave check, they are biding their time right now, waiting for EMP, but this is a lot of progress being built, almost about half a fight on its own. It's where something like Infrasight can be pretty powerful.
Infrasight is down, and Wave check, they have their EMP. They're getting close to the Coalescence. They want to look for this engage as the EMP comes out onto the combo. Fair Mercy.
EMP only hitting 2 to Vic. Paintbrush onto the ground, but they shrug it on off. Manitin dropping the counter EMP in response. And Wave check, they take the fight to point, but while this is going on, Ice ends up falling. It's still 6-on-5 Revival. They can slowly bring this back the other way. Vic holding on to the barrage. Primal can help. They give a bit of space. Revival, a bit healthier, moving over in onto the point to Vic. Still looking for a good moment, and meanwhile, while this is happening, Apply gets 2.
Apply killing Pan and getting a third there. Also probably getting the D-Mac here onto Hagan. And Apply, he's just been so uncontested. Even when they've used those ults early, they have the peel there for him. And he makes sure to, and also one of the weaknesses for the Coalescence, when Panic is going, he can't shift, he can't fade away. And Apply just heads off him directly out of the Coalescence there. And Wave check, they used a lot of ults here. They're still going to have to re-enter this point versus the picks, versus the poke that this triple DPS gives for Revival. It's looking a little bit harder.
Manitin falling immediately to Vic, though, over the top. Barrage going to deal with Moira and a little bit extra on top as Apply continues his reign. Off on the other side, finds another 2. This has been a really good round for Apply so far.
And the pressure for Revival in general on top of Apply's picks have been great. They're making sure to set up with these slams from Boger. They're there to follow up. Manitin's getting a consistent poke. He goes down, but it's still fine because Revival is there to follow up off of his death. We're getting close to last fight territory for Wave check as they're going to get the hack on Manitin. Such a good hack. Can't get away.
Manitin down immediately. It's what Wave check needed. They won't have any chance here. Final opportunity to bring this over. Higan gonna lead in with the bomb. In over the top. Make space for Wave check as they head over to the point. Revival, I think, just gonna let the retake happen. They're gonna wait to be back at full strength.
Revival, they have a lot of control bank to work with. They have a lot of cap already. They have plenty of time to take some eco fights. Jade, gonna drop that rally. They're gonna get the beat off. I think this is still really good for Wave check.
It is, even though the EMP hits plenty, the protection there from the support still there. Manitin gives his life for the EMP, and Revival, they're a little bit far back. They weren't in a great position to take advantage, so the EMP threat is gone. And Wave check, they have an EMP of their own for the next fight.
Still, looking at Revival's bank, they have plenty of time to take these fights. If Ice EMP is used right here, they still have another fight after this, and they're gonna have ults.
EMP used by Ice, directly on the Revival, but also Wave check, not in the best spot to fall through. Revival able to disengage. Now they get back to the fight. And Wave check, really low on ult power here. Mana boost, already opening the way here for Revival as they pressure in on the Wave check. Health getting pretty low. Still in the sky. Barrage soon to be up. And Wave check just trying to hang on for dear life. Remember, they don't get another chance if they fall here.
Tavik, he's doing a lot of poke. A lot of these Moira resources are gone. They see the hack onto Higan. He's going to go for the barrage right now while there's no Diva Matrix.
Well-timed barrage from Vic ends up dying towards the latter end. It's Panic and Juvie able to bring it back on the other end. It looked like the barrage was going to do a little bit more than it did in the end. And Wave check, they repel Revival. 95%. This should be it.
I don't think Revival are going to be able to get back here in time. And if they do, it's just going to be a stagger fight. 99, no, they are not able to touch first map. Going to Wave check, and Wave check, they definitely picked up that Sombra Goats and made it work. They had strong point presence. They made sure to dive the back on accept their EMPs, and most importantly, Juvie and Panic. They weren't getting caught unnecessarily. They were getting consistent value, and if you just can't find that backline versus triple DPS, if you're not finding those picks, Warrior's just going to abuse you. Warrior's just going to get so much value.
And the other thing that we saw there too, just problematic when you're running triple DPS, is that I don't think that it was a bad round at all, the last round for either Tavik or Apply. And yet, when the other team is running a composition that gives them just more point presence to begin with, you need to be completely exceptional. and just dominating the other team, and you didn't have that at all points. And as a result, WaveCheck was able to get the point flipped for free at point at times, really, where you get one straight pickoff. Guess what? You get to move on to the point because no one tanky enough is left for Revival.
It's just the pros and cons list for using that triple DPS setup. If you're running triple DPS, you can't lose any picks, have to consistently get value from those DPS, and have great EMPs, especially if you're running a 3-3 setup or a Sombra Goat setup. You need to be finding a lot more value than what was being got.
And kind of a tough time for Revival as well, where you think back to the very beginning, they had a dominant round 1. And then it just sort of fell apart with the composition they were running into Lighthouse and onto Ruins. But now for Revival, it's still a team that has plenty of veteran talent on it. Paintbrush and Eps, a key part of the Mayhem Academy squad that went undefeated in the regular season, last Contender season, and Tavik and Manitin, who have been around essentially since the beginning of the game. And why? A player that is certainly Overwatch League level. This is a squad that I think probably will look a little bit better as we move into Assault.
And that's exactly what they need to be doing, is looking better, because they've had a rough season so far. And they really, and it's not for lack of talent, it just seems to be the constant poaching for their squad. It's sort of a squad that's in flux. They lost their core, and also something that we seldom talk about is they lost their staff.
Yeah.
A lot of their staff and their coaching went to Overwatch League teams as well. And you're having this constant turnaround of players and staff within a team, and you struggle to see where can you find consistency, where can you find that team cohesion that you desperately need. And that's also where, once again, we can marvel at Second Wind, where they somehow still manage to do it.
It really does make you want to praise Second Wind even more, because when you look at Revival, and we were talking with some Overwatch League players the other day, and the topic of Revival came up, and they go, it's kind of an enigma what's going on with them, because there's a lot of talented players on the roster, and yet the results haven't been there. And I think it's just the entire part where when you have a revolving door of players, when your staff gets poached, when players get poached, it takes time to build up synergy on the roster, and I don't think they've really been able to do that over the course of the season. And, we're talking a lot about Revival, but also turning over and looking at WaveCheck. WaveCheck also adapted pretty well here to a rough round 1, came back in, and really, you look at the comp, I think they ran a better comp against Revival.
WaveCheck is just one of those rosters that have entered in from trials for this season, and they have a lot of potential. A lot of potential within them. And it's sort of a fresh roster, sort of a lot of players that are somewhat fresh to Contenders in general. And it's very clear that they're not quite at the level just yet of these other Contender squads with their more veteran talent, with their more support staff, things like that. But they have a ability to move forward and go up. It's how I felt about Square One previously, also on the opposite side, and also Tea Party, which is in the same division as well. There's a lot of fresh faces here. For WaveCheck, I think they have a lot of fresh talent, while Revival's dealing with a lot of veteran.
The old versus the new. And now we're going to be going to a pretty old map in the larger scheme of things here in Volskaya. And we'll see just what Revival has to offer. And for Revival, it seems like they're pretty much committed to running Pharah in most situations. Again, we see them looking to head out here on the offense with Tavik on the Pharah, applying the Widow. And, I mean, look, this is the very reminiscent of what we saw Shanghai run in the last era of Overwatch League before 222.
So Revival on this offense. When they're running a Hammond Orisa strategy, which I think the Hammond is just going to be for Scout. It's unlikely they're going to keep it. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to be doing. They're going to be making the swap now that they've seen the Scout. Going triple tank with the solo heal, keeping Manitin, swapping Manitin onto the D.Va. This is going to give them a lot of ability to point pressure. They have enough health, and they can still play these flanks with Tavik and apply on that double sniper setup. So the point presence is going to be available for them. They're going to have the option to also matrix a lot of this damage for the entry.
And really the key points here, it's the performance of the double snipers and all took combinations. 2 key elements, and Hanzo yoinked and gone. Good halt from Boger, sets up Eps and Tavik there on the finish. Man advantage to Revival, 6 on 5. As Revival now just walks over the point. They know they can be a little bit more aggressive after taking down 1. Tavik moving in, off on the flank. They lose Boger. Revival has to be a little bit careful here. Tavik on a great opportunity, moving in, trying to land some shots, but unable to connect.
However, these shots that he's been hitting and the pressure he's been giving have been giving a lot of chance for Revival to get into the point, but they haven't dealt with Hagan, who's still just running around. He's a menace on the point. He's getting damage now, but he has that whole hog, or rather that whole hog, and also his healer, his breather up. And the reality is for Revival, what was a good entry, was good entry picks. They couldn't finish. They just could not finish any of those kills. They didn't have a consistent target.
Vic almost breaking Hagan's ankles there, but Hog coming out the very end. All the fancy footwork in the world, not going to deal with that, and ends up being a bit of a late stagger. And for Revival, they've lost about 2 minutes on their offense. Wave check burning 2 minutes down. This is looking decent for Wave check here so far.
There's coming fight, Wave check. They have a good ult bank here, the double support ult. Revival, though, coming up on mini ults of their own. For them, they need to find a lot more value with Mannequin so far. They need to be, if they have that team on the duel, they can stop a lot of this damage and also finish off those low health targets, but they just haven't had the focus fire they needed.
Dragon's going to be dueling on both sides. Revival getting pretty low off of it. Manitin already demeched. Helv standing his ground. Bogur getting super low. See Iced here on the outskirts, looking for his opposing number. Going in on the flank. Excellent opportunity for a Widow. Has Mercy in his sights. Paintbrush. Not quite going to fall to that just yet. But Revival getting delayed heavily here, Avast.
They did get those support ults out from Wave Check along with the double DPS. So they have their Bongo. They have the Supercharger. They can move in here now, use the Supercharger around the corner, try to break the shield, and find any ults, try any frags they can. Supercharger is such an impactful ult in this fight. They need to use it to take the point presence to get anything.
Nice turn, bit of pressure here in the back, and Juby already down. Very key pickoff, but the front line from Wave Check still hanging in there. Apply though. Room to work with now. Takes down the Ana, and that's going to be it. The healing of Wave Check being dealt with. And even with Hagan staying on the point, buying time, the sustain not going to be there. As Revival should be in a really good spot now.
Wave Check has done an excellent job, though, of playing split. Now with the bomb being invested in health going down, this should definitely be a slow but steady decline for Wave Check in terms of their point presence. The fight is going to be over. But Wave Check just had excellently splitting and playing so safe, making Revival having to commit that bomb just to finish the fight.
It's been a very, very long slog for Revival here. They're going to take the point, but losing just about all their time in the progress, only with 4 minutes left to go in the point B, and not in a situation where they have snowball potential either, right? Where sometimes late takes can work out to where you have a big advantage for the first fight. Not so much here for Revival.
Wave Check are getting reset up on the point here again. Still running the same composition. Revival not making any swaps of their own either. And when you see Revival make this entry, what's so important to have to watch is how do these snipers for both squads set up? Where are they positioning? Because they want to play these angles. They want to be able to avoid the shield.
Apply. Decent angle here so far. Looking for health. Has the opportunity. Not quite able to finish off. Then shot Roadhog to the left side. And Revival just pushing their way in. Already 2 picks. This is looking very good for Revival overall. As long as they can heal up to Vic, Bogur, Manitin all low. Jade able to punish. There's opportunity here, but Apply takes down Jade before Jade can on the flank, and Apply keeping Revival in this fight, buying them time so they can heal up. Wave Check on the back foot and then some.
Wave Check, they are still in this fight. They do have that Supercharger out right now, so a lot of damage going to be able to be pumped out by Helv. And again, he's getting the sustain he needs, getting that pocket he needs from Mechanic as well. Jade being back on this Doomfist, he can set up here on these flanks, on these high grounds, and just look for the engage.
Wave Check able to get more time than expected here for the work that Apply was doing. Revival just lost a little bit too many to keep up the pressure, but Halt Hook starting a new round of pressure in for Revival. Up 1 here so far. Apply able to punish a Doomfist point blank. Comes at cost. Hammond in there as well. Still 5 up for Revival. Supercharger down. Just trying to bully their way onto the point for the final 33%. Hell, trying for a surprisingly long period of time, but finally falls, and this should be it for Revival. But Jade, emergency Doomfist, back on in.
JD gets 1, but still, Revival, their point presence is very solid right now. They just can't let Paintbrush go down. Paintbrush, if he gets this Valve, they should still be in an okay spot. Manton is going to be able to get deep-necked there. And actually, Help coming back on the Reinhardt, he's going to get the Nano. They've managed to sustain. It's done.
This is unbelievable, and Help, no reason not to just walk forward. Revival's push completely rejected, and you can't help but feel like there's a bit of problem with focus fire here for Revival.
You've nailed it. It's focus fire. If you have such point presence, if you have those early tank picks, it's really just they need to get they need to focus. They need to have a consistent target and finish it down quickly. Revival just not finishing anything fast enough yet. They just really are not. They had that same problem on first as well. It's just finishing targets.
And then let's Wave Check get back into what should have been a one fight for Revival. And sure, Wave Check, again, playing pretty well in terms of emergency Doomfist play, but the reason why it's called emergency Doomfist is that usually it doesn't work. Eps gonna start things off with an early pickoff. Revival once more, a very good opening. It's up 6v4, and they can just walk onto the point here. Wave Check gonna be looking for a miracle Earth Shatter to somehow bring this back. Helv super low, taken on down, and this time, Revival gets the point.
That was a long offense over Revival, considering how many times it seemed to be clinched, and how many times they seemed to be in a very good position. They just did not have the focus fire they needed to focus down those targets. And it's sort of the risk you run as well. When you're running a solo heal with Paintbrush on that Mercy and that double sniper, a lot of your strength of the comp relies upon finishing targets fast. You don't have a lot of sustain. You don't have that extra healing that the duo support will have. So you need to be finishing targets a lot faster.
It was kind of frustrating to watch as well because there were fights that were Revival would open up with a good halt-hook combination, secure a good 6-on-5, and then Apply would take down one, if not two, right after. And then Revival just wasn't able to finish the last three people on the point, and Wave Check was able to delay long enough to get Doomfist back into play, to get a pick-off here and there, and then push Revival back. And I think one player we didn't give quite enough credit to, or the court side, was Helv. Helv was incredibly durable at times, just dancing back and forth through the shield, and that helped buy the time for people to get back in onto point.
I mean, especially if you're playing the style that Helv is trying to play right now into the Revival, it's the don't die style of main tank. It's the don't feed. Just be a nuisance on the point for as long as possible, and Helv has been doing excellently at that. So Wave Check, they're going to be on this offense. A little over a minute in the clock for Revival in terms of their time bank. And Wave Check, they could definitely have a faster time if they just spin up the focus fire.
Now, note for Revival, the key part there, they did get a time over a minute, so regardless of what happens here, they get another attack. However, there's nothing stopping Wave Check from setting a much quicker time, and already going to be getting some swaps here. Health probably heading over to the reset. No, going Ryan.
Well, if you're looking at, I think this is a smart swap for Wave Check. Revival, when they're running Boger on this Winston, even if it's in the 3-3 setup, or the Sombra Goat setup, it means that it's a lot harder for Boger to sit here and maintain, get the damage he needs. While Reinhardt, you just really can hopefully focus Boger down very quickly. He's a lot more durable, he does a lot more damage. Boger's on the race for the Primal.
Boger already with a meaty 44% from the very first intro, so on a good pace here for Winston. Now going to be heading back up, and the goal here, hit Wave Check again as they move out. Go for one more engage, disengage cycle, and Jade, we're going to take down one, Apply a little bit deep. Now Revival, it's a little bit more dangerous for them. They really need Boger to build the Primal quick to compensate.
And he goes out, doesn't really catch anyone, and already Boger's down. And with those picks on Revival, we see the isolation coming out here onto Devik, and it's done. The fight is over. Wave Check, they didn't lose anyone on the entry, which is really the most important part for this comp in terms of when you're dealing with the Winston, you're not giving up Primal charge easily, and you're not losing anyone on those entry, on those rotations between the doorways. They did neither.
Well, the other part there, too, is we talked about Focus Fire being lacking for Revival. It's not lacking at all for Wave Check. Boger hopped in, Wave Check turned on him, and just immediately eradicated him. The fall-through wasn't there for the rest of Revival, and now as a result, Wave Check, they just have much quicker time on point A.
And it reflects itself in the ult bank here, too. Wave Check, they're getting closer to that EMP. They're already going to have double support ult. They have the sustain, they have the damage. They just need to bring Revival to point. If they can just bring Revival to point and have a good EMP here, they're in a great position.
We're also going to get Nano up a little bit earlier, potentially. Epps close, but close might not be close enough. If Wave Check goes in right now, the advantage is going to be rather big. Graviton reserve, Nano holding on, and now they've decided it's time. Rallies up, they dive on in. EMP in from Fly. Wave Check, though, able to deal with it. The fall through from Revival, just not there. No focus fire, even at least. Graviton, the in from Hegan, pulls in the entirety of Revival. The Nano is in, and Wave Check fully cleaning up Revival in turn. This could be a much quicker time here on point B.
And that was beautifully won by Wave Check, but also beautifully lost by Revival in that the EMP from Apply was a really good EMP. They denied Ice the opportunity to drop that counter EMP. They caught him early on the point. And they even dropped the nano onto, they even had Boger nanoed, hoping that they could get the cleanup, but they just couldn't find those cleanup frags. They couldn't find anything while that EMP was out at all. So Wavecheck doing masterfully in terms of backing away, even though they did have their Sombra caught by the EMP, and Revival just once again could not find anything. They couldn't find any kills.
It's been a really weird trend watching Revival this match where Revival will have good openings. That EMP opening there was good. Hall took openings on their attack, also good. The type of openings that you look at, and 9 times out of 10 will result in a successful team fight. And yet, for Revival, they'll have good openings, and then the follow-through, what comes after, how they're calling and focusing in the middle of the fight, just seems to be completely discombobulated.
So Revival, they are going to have to attack here first at the smaller time bank. And that is a pretty hefty amount of time that Wavecheck finished in. A little under 5.5 minutes. Revival will have to have realistically a much stronger offense here if they have any chance of staying in the competition for this map for Volskaya. They need to really clean up their focus fire. Clean up their focus fire. That's the most important thing.
Well, in particular, it needs to be a fight that's a lot better than their first offense by considerable margin. They were held for a while on point A before. And now if they get held even a little bit, Wavecheck's going to have 5.5 minutes to get 33% on point A, so this first attack must be a good one for Revival. They don't have any chance of swinging Volskaya back in their favor.
You see Wavecheck playing a very similar comp that they played on defense before with the Zarissa Hog double sniper setup. They're going to go back to the triple tank, keep the double sniper of their own. This is what they played on that first offense. And they had success doing it. The hard part was just finishing out the fight.
Wavecheck holding a little bit back here on the Orisa. Revival looking to punch their way in, where, again, the upside for Revival, they've been better at early opening halt hook pickoffs. So you have to look towards Epps and Boger here, and again, there it is, Epps able to get one off the halt set up by Boger. So Revival, they've set up the 6-on-5. The question is, can they finish the fight now with it? Epps going in deep, Epps gonna fall in Wavecheck. They turn the fight again.
Revival, they are still in this fight, but not anymore with Jade finding another, Jade finding a fourth. Jade, he played those angles, and Revival, despite that early pickoff again, they just lose the counter frags, they lose the counter trades, and they lose the flank angles too. As Jade came in onto that high ground, he cleaned up, and then he went to the back line.
I don't think I've ever seen a team with this disparity in different parts of their gameplay. How is it possible that they're constantly doing so well to start fights, and then you get to the easy part of the fight, which is winning when you have a man advantage, winning when the other team really has to compensate for being down a key piece. And it's a just weird combination of lack of focus fire, overextension, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, all hitting precisely to let Wavecheck get back into these fights.
Revival not even getting a tick there in that offense, so the best they can do is get a draw. That is their best hope now, is have a incredible defense, a little less than 5.5 minutes. Wavecheck looking to finish it out. They have plenty of time to just take ego pushes. With this much time on the bank, and all you have to do is get a first tick, just one single tick, you can play for 6 ults. You can continually walk in and fight and fight and fight until you have that perfect setup.
Wavecheck is in a really good spot here. Revival would have to play far more perfect than we've seen from them all series long to hold first for 5.5 minutes, especially when what you're defending is only 33%. I mean, that would still be one of the better holds we've seen in Contenders really ever. But the way they're going to have to do this, one fight at a time.
Revival playing the Sombra Goats once again with Boger on the Winston. And Wavecheck, they're just going to do exactly what they did last offense and swap here and put help onto the Rhine. Get the Sombra Goats to their own. Take this fight to point. They can look to isolate anyone that, because they know Revival's going to be looking for poke damage, looking to get early ults. As they find one early pick actually on the rotation.
It was a really good rotation from Revival. Not only do they get the pick off, but Boger gets to sit pretty at 32%. Now the one upside is that if you're going to lose anyone, losing the Lucio is probably the better person to lose, because Lucio can get back into the fight on his own. Well, the rest of Wavecheck Just going to slowly try and work their way up and over to the high ground, and they're going to be able to do it. And again, Juby gets picked off. Apply was waiting for him.
Apply just going to that spawn, waiting for Juby. And if you get the hack on the Lucio, there's nothing he can really do to get away. He's just stuck skating, very sadly.
Well, he's skating, but he also loses his ability to skate. Like, it's just hacking his brain at the same time.
Weird paradox and Revival. They've been doing great so far on the poke. They're getting close to the primal. They have that solid ult advantage. Epps finds Juby again as he comes in.
Actual bullying going on here, and yet, as this goes on, Boger a little bit deep, isn't able to get primal. Health gets the nano, just walks forward. Wave check again, turning a fight where they lost the first pickoff, and Revival just getting removed. This is going to be Wave check finishing out Volskaya. It's 2-0 Wave check here at the half.
And when you look at that, when you look at the offense for Wave check, you look at the difference between Helv and Boger. Boger on the Winston, he does not get primal fast enough. He gets focus fire down incredibly quickly. And as soon as Boger's down, they know they don't have to deal with the displacement of the primal. They don't have to deal with that poke damage or the engage from Boger. They can take it directly to point, drop that in onto Helv, and they know Revival must fight them there. And they lose it.
Helv has been playing great, but on the same note, I feel like Revival is also making this incredibly easy for Helv, where they go, okay, we're up 1, we're going to push into the fight as you should, and usually you end up winning off that, but then there's no respect given to Helv here. Helv gets a nano boost and just walks into them, ends up taking down 3. So it's been a very perplexing series so far, where Revival, you're doing the hard parts well, and you're messing up the easy parts, and Wave check, by comparison, just remarkably solid across the entirety of the game.
Wave check, I mean, they've did great swaps. They've looked more consistent as a team. And most importantly, their focus fire. A lot of these comps, it just comes down to, can you finish targets fast enough when there's this much sustain on the field? And Wave check are doing a lot better at than what, especially on that map for Sky, than what Revival is doing. So it's clearly there's some focus fire issues there. There's some coordination issues with the team, because the talent should be there. It's just where's the cohesion?
Well, it is the last showing here for both of these teams in the season. Will Revival be able to bring back and end the season on a good note? We'll find out in just a few minutes.